Social media censorship in focus. Actor Kevin Sorbo claiming that Facebook has taken down his page without warning. Facebook in a statement saying, quote, "We removed Kevin Sorbo's page for repeatedly sharing debunked claims about the coronavirus or vaccines."
You know, they've been shadow banning me for a good year now. I have over 500,000 followers, and they only allow me to see up to 10,000 at a time when I post now. They've been there for a long time. And every time they've come back to me and say, "Hey, look, we got to get rid of this because we think this is their version of fake news," I take it down, even though I could argue with that. But, you know, I don't want to lose my page. But this time around, they just took me down. There was no warnings or anything like that. I've been more than happy to take down whatever offensive post that Facebook deemed that I should not be posting. So I question their statement saying that they gave me some warning.
Yeah, no, and cancel culture is alive and well.
Well, you got to tell me this: is it worse now, Kevin, than it's? I know this is the question. We put people on conservative media who say, "Is it worse now than it's ever been?" It feels like it is worse. I mean, when you can actually line up from an outsider's perspective what Gina Carano shared and what her co-star shared, which Pedro Pascal, which is just very similar from a different political perspective, both making Nazi Germany comparisons in public. One gets fired, one's a celebrated hero to the left. Is it worse than it's ever been?
The hypocrisy is unbelievable, and it's the worst it's ever been. It's accelerating on itself right now. I mean, it started really about 15 years ago, and it just really started taking off even more about the last 6-7 years. And now it just seems to get worse and worse and worse. I call it deflection. I mean, the left can say whatever they want about the right. They can attack them for anything, and the left is already guilty of those things. So it's a brilliant play by them to sit there and blame the other side for exactly what they're guilty of.
You saw that Gina Carano called out and just said basically, hey, the Nazi government turned the people against their neighbors for their different religious views. How is that different than turning people against their neighbors for their political views? And for that, she lost her job. She was attacked. And here's the funny thing about that, frankly, is how do they know that they're the Nazis in her scenario?
Well, and that's
because they basically went ahead and proved it.
Well, and that's the thing, Sam. You know, this goes back to history. Sometimes you quote history, and if you're quoting for it, to be punished for actually quoting history and the facts that we do know happened, to be punished for in the present day, I think is what people are scratching their heads about and going, wait a minute, how can that be wrong? Isn't that we want to know? We want to know history so that we don't repeat it.
Kevin, you know, you talk about things being removed, or Facebook talks about removing things because they're debunked. I think a lot of people look at the debunking or the fact-checking and they say it's really not fact-checking at all. It's somebody's opinion or the opinion of the prevailing majority. When this happens, does anybody bother to tell you why exactly things are being taken down? Explain to you what it is you've missed that's been definitively proven to be false?
No, they just seem to have a blanket statement that says this does not meet with our guidelines and we're taking it down. So, would you please take it down? Otherwise, you're going to lose your account with them. I post things that usually come from what other doctors are saying about the virus, or I post things what other people are saying about the voter fraud. And you know, if that doesn't fit their narrative, they just get rid of you. I mean, freedom of speech, obviously, as we know, has gone out the window, and it's insanity what we're going through right now.
And you know, to that end, you started the segment talking about the fact that my husband was just summarily removed from Facebook. I call that a digital assassination. It's not cancellation, it's assassination, because they are denying his existence. He went and opened a new page. By the way, they never told him why. They came out after the fact and said, well, we warned you. No, they didn't. They warned him for other reasons on other things. He behaved the way that they instructed him to behave, took down whatever the post was that they found offensive, which is another word that the left has now completely, transgressed. And so he opened another page and they took it down. They said, you don't have a right to exist. This is digital assassination. It's what they did to the president, a sitting president of the United States of America.
About what kind of career penalty there is in Hollywood for having these unconventional by Hollywood standard views. I mean, are there people who say, I'd like to work with you, but I just can't? Or what's the feedback?
Oh, yeah, that's happened. You know, my agent and my manager both behind closed doors told me we can't do it anymore because of the things that you say. And I'm going, wow, isn't this the industry that all screams for tolerance and freedom of speech? But apparently those things are all one-way streets. So it's a battle I got to keep going with. And, you know, I love the industry. I don't harbor all that hate and anger that the left harbors against people that are on the right. I don't get it. It's just sad how much divide that's been going on in our country over the last 10, 12 years, and it just seems to be accelerating on itself. And that makes me sad. To me, it's like, why can't we just have a debate without anger and hate and violence coming into it? To me, let's just go, you know, you have your point of view, I have my point of view, and move on.